Hi guys, welcome back. It's Tommy and welcome back on the South Korean ladder as I have a very interesting game here found for you in July 2025, the 70th of July 2025. We have spawning here in the upper right in the red. It is a barcode player. Sadly, I don't know who this is, but this player right here in the low right in the purple, it is of course Flash, this time with his AK C9 Flash. So I did check on Qual to see if this is his AK, and it said that Flash Wicked Man is indeed the same person. So this should be Flash, even though interesting enough now I see that his APM is very low, so it looks like he's very relaxed right now, spawning here in the low right as the purple Terran. And it is of course a 4 spawning location map, so it should be a very interesting game. We have around 18 minutes here of a Terran versus Zerg. Of course we're going to be checking out the build orders just like we do in the previous replays. Looks like a pretty standard open up here for Flash with the supply depot. The Zerg seems to be saving some minerals, so it could be a fast expansion attempt by him. Indeed, there it is. So straight into fast expansion, of course. It's a 4 spawning location map, so this can be an option anytime. Even Flash could have went for a command center first, as the new meta from the Terran seems to be command center first. So yeah, let's just see how this game is going to unfold. A small hint on the thumbnail. It is going to be Flash going for some mech units versus the opponent versus the Zerg. So let's just see if this is going to work out for him, as he's now going for his barracks and for his gas. There we have the expansion for the Zerg, and I believe this should be an overload right here. Of course you have the production tab in the upper left part just in case I'm missing something. And now he's going for his spawning pool and another drone. So yeah, it's going to be Goliaths for Flash versus the Zerg. Is it going to work out? I believe I did cast a game with Mutalisk versus Goliath from Flash around 1 year ago, and it actually worked out really well. So Goliath seems to be also very strong versus those Mutalisk. Marines with Stim and Medics also of course a good option to have. Goliaths are more tankier, however not that much mobile, not that fast as the Mutalisk. So let's just see how this is going to work out here for Flash versus the opponent. So yeah, the expansion is up. The SCV has scouted now the map. A very lucky scout here for Flash, as he moved straight forward towards the main from the opponent. Of course he's going to try to stay as much as he can here in order to see when the tier 2 is going to start. And a very good timing here for the Zerg. Around the 2 minute and 50-second mark he decides to do the tier 2 upgrade. Of course Flash now thinking it's very likely going to be Mutalisk for him, but if the Zerg can somehow snipe this SCV, he could also transition into a hidden Hydralisk then with a timing push with some Zerglings, with some Hydralisk, even Lurkers later on would be a very good option for him. And of course even late into the game Defilers Ultralisk would also be a great option for the Zerg versus the Terran. There we have the expansion also here for Flash. So Flash decides to play it also very safe versus the opponent, as the overlords are now moving out onto the map. And this one Zergling I believe is being sent out here by the Zerg just to see if or if not it's going to be a command center for the opponent, so an expansion or not. So with that of course it's the Zerg now knows that it's not going to be a strong rush by Flash. Of course some SCVs could have been pulled by him with 2 vultures, with some Marines early on. They would have been very strong versus this expansion right here. I believe that's exactly why he went for a spawning pool, and some Zerglings could have been produced by him just in case Flash would have tried to rush his opponent. So very smart move here by the Zerg, knowing of course the timing from the Terran, as yeah the game is unfolding. And there we have the first factory here for Flash. Second factory is also getting produced. The first Goliath is getting produced here by him. The Spire is also getting produced here by the Zerg. So yeah, let's just see how the game is going to unfold, as I believe the Zerg is very likely going to try to be aggressive with his Mutalisk. He's very likely going to try to harass the middle line from the opponent. And yeah, there is the Spire here for the Zerg, with some Zerglings actually here for him, as we also see the missile range upgrade for those Goliaths. A much needed upgrade of course, and even weapons one will also be needed for the Goliaths. We actually see a strong move out here by the Zerg with lots and lots of Zerglings let's see, he could be lucky to try to snipe some of those SCVs here from Flash. He's actually moving forward with those Zerglings. Only one Goliath and one Vulture here to defend a second Goliath right on time. And yeah, the Zerg actually getting some good surrounds here. Good micro by Flash, but he's getting surrounded. In the end, losing one Goliath. Even the second one might get lost, but in the end, it's very likely going to get repaired. So in the end, so many Zerglings have been sacrificed here by the Zerg in order to what? To just snipe one Goliath. So very impatient game here by the Zerg. Moving forward with those Zerglings in order to be lucky and snipe some of the units here from Flash. But in the end, only one Goliath has been lost. At the same time, another expansion has started here for the Zerg. However, if you look at the worker amount, it's already 35 here for Flash versus the 20 from the Zerg. Of course, the Zerg loses a drone every time he's creating a building. So yeah, let's not forget about that. But yeah, in come the Mutalisk. Let's see what the Zerg can do with his Mutalisk. 6 of them moving here forward, taking already some damage, going straight for those Goliaths actually. So not deciding to go for the SCVs, straight attacking the Goliaths. A very aggressive move here by him. Not targeting the economy, but going straight for those units, for those mech units here from Flash. So very good hold here by Flash. He's now going to spread those Goliaths. More reinforcements are pouring here forward for the Zerg, as he's very likely going to try to move here forward. And now some SCVs are exposed, so this could be very good for the Zerg as he's moving now forward straight towards the middle line. Another SCV has been sniped. The third one is also taking some damage. So very good move here by the Zerg, punishing the middle line, taking out, I believe, 4 SCVs, even the 5th one also taking some damage. But in the end, 6 Mutalisk are being left alive. So very good move here by the Zerg early on, losing 1 Mutalisk, sniping 4 SCVs. And yeah, I believe the harassment is very likely going to continue for him, unless he decides to transfer his tactics towards some lurkers, towards some high risk. Could be a possibility. Lurkers on the ground, of course, a great counter against those Goliaths from the opponent. And yeah, like I told you later on, Refilers with Ultra Risk of course also very strong. And in comes another attack, another SCV is getting sniped. Good pickups here by the Zerg, as he's doing a very good job versus the opponent. And there it is, there's the high risk den. So this very likely is going to show to us that the Zerg is going to transition into some high risk gameplay with some lurkers. Like I told you, could be a great possibility. He could even try some drops with some overlords, as this location right here is not really well defended by the Terran, by Flash. So this could be a great spot to drop massive amounts of high risk and go straight towards those production buildings here from the opponent. And yeah, I believe currently he's just going to try to harass as much as he can with his reinforcements, moving here forward. Let's see what he can do. So many Mutalisk here by him. Flash needs to be careful. He still has no engineering base, still no turrets, just having sheer amounts of masses of Goliaths. Now going for a starport with the science facility. So of course, Irradiance, a very good counter against all of those Mutalisk, and also a good unit to have, the science vessel, in order to have vision against those lurkers, if it is going to be lurkers here from the opponent, from the Zerg. We do have speed on the way for those high risk. Yeah, in comes the attack. He's able to snipe a Goliath. He also sniped SCV right here, delaying the expansion as much as he can here from Flash. Also sniping yet another Goliath, so Flash needs to be careful. He's losing some Goliaths here. In the end, he just holds position and fights versus those Mutalisk. So yeah, the Goliath's proving to be very strong. 1 weapons upgrade is also done. No carapace yet for him, as the expansion continues here for Flash. And slowly but steadily we go towards the 10-minute mark. So I believe the transition is very likely going to be real for the Zerg, as the first high risk are getting spawned, and we also have the first upgrades here for those high risk. Still 0-0, but 1-1 will be finished very soon. I believe Flash already at 1 upgrade, and we do actually see 2 armories here for him. So going for the tier 2 upgrade, and even now plating is also getting done by him. So yeah, very good stuff here by Flash. Now there's this science vessel, just in case the opponent would have gone for some lurkers. There's the science vessel here for him, and we do see him move forward towards the expansion point. Of course, the Zerg knows the timing. He has some units here nearby with some Mutalisk, with some Hydrosis. He's going to try to delay the expansion as much as he can. Perhaps he's going to be lucky to snipe the Science Vessel, but no, once again going for some Goliaths. Very low HP onto those Goliaths, and the Hydra is actually a very great counter against so many Goliaths here. And Flash moving forward. The high ground was on the side of the Zerg. He was pretty much in control of the high ground, but now his reinforcements sadly are a little bit slow. He tried to snap the important Science Vessel, but in the end Flash is going to be able to hold. And with that, taking another important expansion, having the double amount of workers than his opponent. So Flash looking very good into this game, losing some Goliaths of course. And yeah, hold on, actually another wave of attack is moving here forward by the Zerg. And a great defensive metrics here, this one Goliath, so much more tankier now, proving to be very good decision making here by Flash. He's going to lose once again some Goliaths, but the main force here from the Zerg is going to be pushed back, so the harassment for the Zerg is not really working out here versus Flash. And now even one tank has joined the army with 1-1 upgrades. I believe there is the weapons 2 upgrades for Flash. So Flash at around the 11-minute mark already having 2-1 upgrades. Very good. One tank might get sniped here, so very good move by the Zerg, going behind enemy lines in order to snipe some units, even being able to snipe the Science Vessel. So Flash a little bit of mistakes there with his micro, losing the Science Vessel. I believe he's going to try to rebuild one just in case some lurkers will be brought forward here by the Zerg. Let's check his main. Still tier 2. No intentions yet for him to go for tier 3. Still masses of Hydroisk here moving forward for him. No lurkers, no Zerglings, just sheer amounts of masses. It's going to be very hard. The ramp is here. The high ground is pretty much in control for Flash. There is another tank nicely positioned here by Flash onto the high ground, so it's going to be very hard for those Hydroisk to see him. And yeah, 2 Goliaths on the low ground, of course, trying to lure those Hydroisk towards this one tank, as the tank is already going to be dealing splash damage. But there's so many Hydroisk here for the Zerg. Now they finally do have vision against this one tank. The reinforcements are pouring forward here for Flash from the above and from the low ground. Actually, so many SCVs have to be pulled, but in the end I believe Flash should be able to hold. But there are so many Hydroisk, and reinforcements from the Zerg also on the way, so a little bit of a chaotic scene here for both players as the reinforcements have arrived. And let's see, yeah, those Goliaths are very strong with those upgrades versus the Hydroisk. Looking very good here versus the opponent, and the tank once again should be able to deal massive amounts of splash damage. Sadly here for the Zerg, he has no vision. The tank killing more and more of those Hydroisk. And now this one tank pretty much exposed, so the Zerg will be able to take it out. And SCVs have to fight now versus those low HP Hydroisk. So yeah, chaotic scenes in the end, but Flash did take some casualties here. He did lose some units, but as you look at the economy, he's also closing towards 80 SCVs. So sadly here for the Zerg, he can't really punish the economy from the opponent, and very soon the macro game from Flash, I believe, is going to be kicking in. So he pretty much has 50 more workers than the opponent. So there's the reaction from the Zerg, taking another expansion, but he's still staying at only Hydroisk here for him. No Defilers, no Lurkers, no Ultralisk, still massive amounts of Hydroisk. Is this going to work out? Very hard. Perhaps he's going to be lucky to snap one supply depot here. But yet the tank once again in the back, guarded by the SCVs in the front this time. And Flash of course going to be able to hold now as even the Goliaths arrive to secure this expansion right here. So a very patient game here by Flash, a good defense by him, a very impatient game by the Zerg, and a very interesting tactics, just pretty much masses of Hydroisk. I believe this is actually working very well if you play against the Protoss, but against the Terran it's quite hard, even though the fact that it is actually a map with ramps, so that's going to make it even more difficult unless the Zerg decides to do some drops. Or some drops would be a great idea right here with some overlords, even having one drone here, interesting enough. Perhaps a miss rally by him, but yeah, still staying on mass Hydroisk. Quite an interesting strategy here by him. Is it going to work out? We're about to find out. Flash now pretty much in control of his defenses, adding more and more of those factories, pumping out more and more of his mech units, tanks with Goliaths for him, and the Zerg stays into his tier 2, not decides to go for a tier 3 or Defilers. Defilers with Dark Zone would have been a great idea for him against the Goliaths, but still he decides to just pump out masses of high risk here. Is it going to work out? Flash actually deciding now to make his move. Moving forward towards the center, I believe he's going to try to take the expansion there, and the siege tanks are now sieged up, so the siege tanks all in the back. Those are pretty much throwing everything he has, but the tanks in the back aren't really touched, and with that I believe the Zerg should have not engaged here. So very impatient game here by him, as perhaps some drops, like I told you, would have been a better idea. With some overloads, with some masses here of high risk, he could have been able to deal damage. Even one turret has been added here by Flash. I believe he thought about the fact, of course, that it could be some drops, and now taking this expansion versus the opponent, as we still have the same strategy here for the Zerg. Masses of high risk works very well versus the Protoss, but versus the Terran I don't know, as the tanks in the back haven't been touched. The Goliaths, even the SCVs in the front, can give good cover versus this, but still the Zerg stays towards his strategy, not changing anything at all, still adding those high risk. And yeah, perhaps now he's just asking what can I do, and yeah, sadly I don't know what exactly they're talking about, but yeah, now the Zerg of course knows that Flash has the advantage. He adds some Mutalisk here, actually many Mutalisk, around 7. He's going to try to move here forward. The tanks are nicely in the back, the SCVs and the command center giving great cover here. Let's see what's going to happen. The Mutalisk are flying here forward, perhaps they're going to try to attack the tanks, but no, he's going for the Goliaths, but the high risk are in the back, so quite a sacrifice here by the Zerg, as I believe we're going to be seeing the GG very soon. The tanks in the back still untouched. Of course he's going to take out a couple of those SCVs right here, but yeah, in the end Flash secure in this game with a very patient game. Very nice defense by him. Goliath proving to be very strong versus the Mutalisk early on, and the transition here from the Zerg quite odd into mass high risk, without defilers, without lurkers, without the intentions to do some drops. So yeah, Flash even having some turrets here, so the drop might have done some damage, but so many overloads would have been lost. So Flash of course thinking about the fact that it could have been a drop, but yeah, in the end this strategy not really working out for the Zerg. Flash having the perfect counter towards it, tanks in the back, SCVs and Goliaths in the front. Yeah, let's just check the stats very quickly, just in case you guys are interested. So quite an interesting game, but yeah, the Zerg perhaps asking Flash what he can do different. Yeah, Ultras, Defilers, even Zerglings with upgrades could have been a better idea. And yeah, still a very good game, and once again Goliaths proving to be very strong against the Zerg. The Zerg tried the same strategy as many Zergs do versus the Protoss. Massive amounts of upgraded high risk, but against the Terran very hard, especially against those tanks on the high ground and in the back. Very well defended. So yeah, quite an interesting game from the South Korean ladder, July 2025. I believe it has been played on the 17th of July with Flash perhaps joining the C9 clan, who knows. Perhaps he's going to join the ASL, but it's going to be very hard for him after the crypto scandal in which he was involved. Perhaps he's going to be needing some protection, some bodyguards. It's going to be very hard for him to come back unless he works very hard to pay back all of the money that has been lost by a lot of people who has invested into his coin. So yeah, huge scandal. I wish him all the best. I hope he can come back, and I hope he can repay all of the money. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Tommy signing out.